This new Holland grader has the snappy model number of F156.7A, and in real life it weighs a little over 16 tonnes. It comes in a Motorart branded box with a few New Holland logos on it. But as is often the case, there's no information about the real machine. The model is held by a couple of plastic formers, but once out of the box there's no assembly to do because this model is complete out of the box. Getting into the detail and starting underneath, the transmission is modelled in the surface of the casting. The tyres are fine, but the wheels would have looked better with black centre hubs, more like those seen on the real machine. At the back, the ripper assembly is a one-piece casting in metal, and moving up to the engine cover, the grille at the top has perforations. But the nicest part about it is the detailed graphics. Underneath the cover is a plastic engine, but it's not the most realistic piece of modelling. The cab seems to be mainly plastic, but there are lights and wipers. But strangely, it has an external mirror only on one side of the cab. Inside the cab, the detail is reasonable, and it includes an interior mirror. The front assembly is metal and has no hydraulic hoses. At the front, the wheel arches and lights are plastic, and although the writing on the dozer blade gets the marketing message across, it doesn't add to the realism of the model. Listening to Cranes etc. is an unparalleled experience. But if you don't want to listen, all recent videos have been accurately captioned, so you can read it instead. The captioning system also provides some other possibilities. For example, if an accurate translation of the captions has been uploaded. And if you like, you can practice your foreign language reading skills. There's also the possibility to have other languages via computer translation. So that should also provide some additional amusing mistranslations. This does not look like a roadwork site, but in the Cranes etc. world that's exactly what it is. And the grader rolls along reasonably well. At the back, the rear wheels spin individually and freely. And just like on the real grader, the pairs of wheels are on oscillating beams. The range of movement is not huge, but at least there's some. At the front, the steering axle has a good range of movement. And if you set it, then the grader traces out a decent curve. But on graders, the front axle is multifunctional, and it is on this model too. In addition to steering, it oscillates significantly, and it also has another function which is much more difficult to model accurately, and that's leaning wheels. And on the model you can obtain a small angle of lean, and it's controlled by small rams. Another function of the real machine is that the frame should articulate side to side, but that's really very restricted on the model with only a small amount of movement possible. Right at the front of the machine is another element of functionality, and that concerns the dozing blade, which can be raised and lowered. Moving to the mould board, which is the grading blade, and it's multifunctional. It rotates, it tilts, and it can be raised, lowered and angled. But this part of the model is delicate, so you have to be careful how you handle it. There's more functionality at the back, and that includes the ripper assembly, which can be raised and lowered. And as usual for Motorart models, the engine hood can be opened. It's good that the engine cover poses in the open position, even if the engine itself is not a great one to look at. There is one unexpected and welcome feature on the model, and it would be easy to notice it's not there. The doors on both sides of the cab can be opened, but they are a very good fit, so it can be quite tricky and difficult to prise them open. Just imagine if you were a driver and a giant screwdriver came through the cab to push the door open. No different to if a giant finger closed the door, I suppose. On to the genuine imitation real life test, and for this we'll load the grader onto a low loader. And we're not going to be beaten by the grader being a long machine, because we'll stretch out our low loader. And to save time, we'll load the grader using the patented Cranes etc. hand crane. Whoa, steady on. Apart from the graphic at the front, this is a good looking grader model from Motorart, and it has plenty of functionality, with most of it working well and just a couple of aspects needing improvement. But overall, if you like New Holland equipment, it's good enough to be recommended.